KHQA Overtime with Chris Dewar. Brought to you by Con Communications. This is KHQA. It's your news now.
And this is Saturday, December the 27th, and you have entered the last overtime for the calendar year 2014. And perhaps George Jetson is to blame here, but growing up I would have suspected that the flying car would have become our preferred mode of transportation by now. And in this busiest of holiday tournament seasons, the ability to whisk about the skies from Collinsville to Bloomington to Beardstown to Carrollton to Mendon and then to hit that tricky 9:30 start for the finale in Macomb might have put years back on my life and hairs back on my head. Instead, we deal with this gravity-unfriendly schedule the old-fashioned way and as best we can, because this is one of those Saturdays where the running never stops, trust me. And we begin this sumptuous highlight feast with day one of the Collinsville Chinooks Holiday Tournament, where Quincy High was looking to kickstart the second half of its season and where Will Wilson held court.
A good one today down in Collinsville. First game of the weekend for the Blue Devils, matched up with 3-6 Belleville East. Back and forth affair in the first quarter. Parker Bland, the story for QHS, muscling his way to the and one finish. Bland, he was big time for his squad all the way until the end today. Now just before the quarter end, Blue Devils down 2. Jacob Jobe inbounds to Lincoln Elby. Elby goes baseline, appears to leave this one up for Bland. He's going to tip it in with his left hand. We're all tied at 15 after the first quarter. Second quarter now, same story. Parker Bland, such a presence on the interior. Nice pass from Reagan Tenhouse to get it to the big fella who finishes the job off. Then it would be Cameron Gay stroking it from the corner. The three ball working for the Blue Devils today as well. Belleville East not going away. Jalen Jones at the other end, knocking down jumpers. Lincoln Elby was on his game today. Finished with 14 points. Here's 3 of them right here off the three-pointer. We'd head into halftime all square at 26. Second half had a different feel. Lincoln Elby had a lot to do with that. The senior kept feeding the hot-handed Bland, and number 40 kept executing. The Blue Devils would build a 4-point lead after this sweet finish and force a Belleville timeout. The Lancers would go on a 9-2 run, though, and take the lead 43-40 heading into the fourth quarter. This is where Andy Douglas's team really hunkered down and did what they needed to do to get this win. Hit big free throws down the stretch and played tough defense. Cameron Gay was huge as well. He put together a string of buckets, one right here off the rebound. Then you'd see another on a runner in the lane with about a minute and a half to go. That gave QHS a 2-point lead, one they would never let go of, as they get the win 64-60 to play Lincoln on Monday at 2:30. That's all from Collinsville. I'm Will Wilson, KHQA Sports.
And you heard Will mention it. It will be the 2-seed Lincoln coming up on Monday, thanks to a big day from Parker Bland today with those 21 points. Lincoln and Quincy High, always fun. That game set for 2:30 back in the high school gym coming up on Monday. In effect, as we speak, Quincy Notre Dame playing now after 3 quarters. This game is now 50-40 as Rockridge Lutheran is leading the Raiders. Quincy Notre Dame going to need a furious comeback in the fourth quarter to get a win and continue on in the winner's bracket. Right now, as I mentioned, through 3 full quarters, Quincy Notre Dame trailing Lutheran 50-40, your score right there. Let's do a little championship quarterfinal action today from the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament. Clay Vass, former Central League coach, former Carthage resident, watching his Illini Bluffs team take on Illini West. They were up 13-7 early. Here comes Colton Mellinger and company, and Mr. Mellinger was simply sadistic from the outside, for lack of a better word, today, knocking down everything. And he was ably assisted as Illini West was shooting the lights out today. That's Braden Bennett. How about Colton Mellinger for more in this game? 18 points on the day. He was 6 of 12 from the field, including 4 of 6 from three-point range. That's big. This guy was big as well. Nolan Ard channeling his inner Ricky Rubio. 13 dimes today, including one here to Jacob Douglas for the 3. Members bounce. He had 11 points on the day. How about more from Ard? No, this time it's Bennett playing distributor, hooking up with Brady Atkinson. Huge win for Illini West. Maybe the best shooting day from any team we've seen this season. Final count in that one, as you saw, 69-46. So up next for their efforts, the Chargers will advance and take on unbeaten Metamora, who took apart Camp Point Central today. 55-35 is your final. That semifinal set for Monday at 1 p.m. On the other side of the bracket, Macomb is still alive and kicking. The host team with a big-time upset of Monroe's today, 50-43. Grant Hannett leading the way in that game with 18 points. Up next for Macomb, we assume a game still in progress, at least at last check. It will be Rockridge, who was leading into the fourth quarter, 46-25 over Lewistown. So we'll assume it will be Macomb versus Rockridge coming up at 2:30 in the other semifinal on Monday. How about some consolation bracket action? Just because it's always fun when these guys get together. West Hancock and Pittsfield waging war. Hot start for the Titans in this game. Johnny Swanson got it started with sort of the ugly jumper, but it fell like a bad landing. There's no such thing. Later, it's Cole Fox doing Cole Foxian type things as he would get the easy deuce. And West Hancock, as I mentioned, got off to the good start, including the point guard, Andrew Hardy, factoring in as well. Mr. Hardy about to break free of his defender, shake in, and kind of hit the strange runner right here. But Pittsfield would awaken big time in this game after trailing early. Inbounds plays to Corbin Personette proved to be a pretty good play in this game, not once but twice, as Mr. Personette gets it heated up. He had a big day today, double-double for him, 18 points and 11 rebounds on 7 of 14 shooting. Later, Tanner Ashburn hooks up with Quinn Leahy here for the three-point play. Pittsfield right back in this thing. West Hancock trying to answer at the other end. This time it's Nathan Cameron doing some work on the interior. Nice kiss off the glass for him. Just too much of Pittsfield in this game. Steele to Jonah Molesky. He'll hook up with Corbin Personette yet again. Saukeys get it done. They win by the final count in this one of 48-31. More from earlier in the day throughout the consolation bracket. Brown County gave it all they could today. Nearly took down Farmington, but the Hornets lose despite a 20-point effort from Darian Drake in that ball game. Also, A-Town a winner today over Canton. I reversed that. Canton, who was 1-7 coming into this tournament, upsets A-Town today, 44-38 would be your final in that ball game as well. Let's move on now. It was the opening night of the MVIT in Mendon. Always fun, where the biggest X factor in a very solid field appeared to be a West Prairie team that came in 10 games, mind you, over the 500 mark. No one knew quite what to make of their strength of schedule, as the Cyclones haven't really played any common opponents with the folks in the field here. So why not throw Payson Seymour at them just to test them and see what their temperature might be in this game? That was a pretty daunting task today for the Cyclones. Here they go. Payson not impressed by that gaudy record. Right off the bat, it's Drew Burwinkle, who's become a human highlight machine every time we put the camera on him. Three-point play for him right there. He's not done. Burwinkle going to benefit right here from a steal, and at the other end, he's going to finish nicely as well in this ball game. Everybody kind of getting into the act in this one. Mr. Carter Epperson from three-point distance going to knock this down, and it's just real smooth and feathery. The other end, West Prairie, which was down 15 at the half, 23-8 at that point, trying to come back. Devin Boyer with the miss. Zach Geltmacher going to clean that up and put that home. Just too much of Payson Seymour. They play some great defense. Hunter Flessner with the steal coming up right here. Going to hook up with Drew Burwinkle yet again. Pretty stuff right here, as it would be Payson Seymour big time in this game. They win by the final count of 45-16. What a great defensive effort for Brian Ray's team. They will get the honor of taking on Biggsville West Central coming up on Monday in the semifinals. Other side of the bracket, how about Liberty and Southeastern going at it? Greg Altmix's team trying to pick up where it left off with a big win the other night at the Rumble on the River, going to work in this one. They took down Louisiana. Here, it's Austin Owen trying to bring Southeastern back. At the other end, though, Liberty doing work in this game. Reed Wolfmeyer coming up right here with a very strong take to the hole and a really pretty finish at the other end. Liberty up by 4 at this point, but here comes Southeastern. Austin Owen having a big day for the Suns. He ended up with a team-high 11 points, including another triple right here. Can't leave that kid open. I'll tell you what. Couldn't leave any of the Suns open in the first quarter. Austin Meyer doing some work from distance as well, knocking down the three, and then the Suns suddenly find themselves with a first quarter lead. That first quarter lead turns into a first half lead behind Winston Smith, one of the best point guards in the area. He's pretty darn good. Liberty, though, coming back in this game. Off the Reed Wolfmeyer miss, this is Daniel Mass cleaning up nicely and getting the bucket. Southeastern answering, though, keeping really some nice contact in this game. Winston Smith for 3. Michael Mast had answers at the other end. Kind of hit the modified jump shot. Winston Smith would answer him again to retain the lead right here. The point guard going strong to the hole. Too much Michael Mast, too much Reed Wolfmeyer in this ballgame. Check out the finish here from Michael Mast. I tell you what, young fella, you get this, you might as well dunk it for us. That's sensational 7-worthy if you do, by the way. More from Mast and Wolfmeyer right here. Some great passing from the big fella as well, as Liberty leaves no doubt about it, winning 57-39. Reed Wolfmeyer with 19 points. Michael Mast with 18 in that ball game. So who's next for the Liberty Eagles? They would take on the winner of today's Unity Knox County game. Nice to have a little cross-river action. As we had mentioned, Seti Boone, he's awfully good. The fans in rapt attention for this one, by the way. Seti Boone actually drinks eggnog for breakfast. That's how tough this kid is. End-to-end bucket. Nice start for him and his team. But you know what? Adam Donnelly and Unity had other ideas. Mired in a 6-game losing streak. They're going to get out of it quickly in this one. Great pass from Corey Miller, kicking this thing forward, I should say. I'll tell you what, Unity was also hitting the offensive glass today, and that was a big, big asset as well. Knox County, though, not going away in what was a very fiercely contested first quarter. Joey McCauley from distance, knocking down the triple in this one. Adam Donnelly with an answer. Transition fool tonight this young man was. He was really good. Cleaning up at the other end, kissing one off the glass right here. Corey Miller just breaking down the middle of the Knox County defense. As you can tell, not a lot of defense was played early in this game. Got better later, but, you know, when you can go straight down the middle, that's pretty nice stuff. Knox County answering with a Skylar Sullen three. Just too much Corey Miller in this game. He had 24 points, as did Mr. Donnelly. Big-time win for Unity as they break out of their funk and get it done tonight, 72-65. So they'll get a rematch coming up with Liberty in the other semifinal. Other scores to pass along in this day from other tournaments around the state of Illinois and Missouri. More on that in a second. Beardstown bounces back with a nice win today over Calhoun, the team that upset Griggsville Perry yesterday. 62-38 your final. Wow, the Tigers left no doubt about it as Dante McWilliams had 18 points to lead the Spurs there. And we also have Carrollton with a huge win over Brussels. I point this out to you because Luke Gillingham, Carrollton's star shooter, had 8 3-pointers in the first half alone. That is a new tournament record, and since the tournament is ending this year, that record's going to stand forever. Carrollton wins 90-43. Carrollton now, I believe, 2-0 in that tournament, and they hold command and sway of that tournament, but Griggsville still gets to play them, I think, on Tuesday coming up this week, so you've got that working as well. The Waverly tournament today, West Central loses to Lutheran. Lutheran led today by Pearson Wofford. I point that out because the 6'4" forward is apparently getting some attention from Quincy University, some recruiting attention at this point, at least according to the Springfield State Journal-Register, so there's that. He's a pretty darn good player. West Central falls after winning their opener 68-47 down at Waverly. Also today, Triopia fell at Waverly 58-55 is your final in that ball game. At the MRMC shootout over in Moberly today, South Shelby knocked off by Glasgow 48-31, but Bowling Green stays red hot as they get a big-time win over Sturgeon 58-29. That's a team we will be checking out very quickly after the start of the new year. And coming up next, we'll check out some girls basketball and some wrestling when overtime continues.
You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Dewar. Brought to you by Con Communications.
And welcome back to Overtime, everybody. They pulled off the upset that stunned an entire state on Friday night. So the question would be, what would Matt Long's Central Lady Cougars do tonight for an encore in Bloomington Normal? The first 16 seed ever to knock off a 1 seed last night. That in St. Thomas More. Today, things did not go nearly as well, as it would be Camp Point Central losing to Fairbury Prairie Central by a rather sizable margin. And unfortunately, that graphic has disappeared, so I don't have that number in front of me. We'll try to get you that exact number here in just a few seconds. So let's move on now and talk about the Lady Tiger Classic. You know, the Unity Lady Mustangs weathered the storm on Friday in their opener at the Beardstown Lady Tiger Classic and beat Illini Central without their A game. Macomb, it would stand to figure, would provide a much more exacting, hectic test today in the championship quarterfinals. And that is where we take you now. Good ball game, hot start in this one. Zach Keene's team went 0-3 in this tournament last year, including a loss in overtime to Unity. Looked like they might be in for that same fate early in this game, as it was an ugly start for them. Good start for Calhoun with the larceny and the layup. Then Jordan Hildebrand with the jumper that kind of rattles home for her from the free throw line at this point. And then it's Caden Miller making her presence felt, as it looked like, in fact, in the first quarter, Unity was going to pitch a shutout until Allison Torrance, I should say, on the inside, hits the bank shot. That was the only bucket in the first quarter for her team. Kaylee Kuhn makes it 11-2 after the first 8 minutes in favor of Unity. And it didn't look like Kuhn and company were done just then. To start out the second quarter, it's Miss Kuhn with a 3, extending the lead. And then Piper Obert doing some nice work as well on the interior, cleaning up nicely off the beautiful feed as well. And then Macomb finally awakened. It would be a 3-quarter process to get back into this game and to seize command, but Macomb was equal to the task. Kayla Mabry, beautiful stuff right there from Mia Lambert off the feed. Zoe Lambert wide open thanks to the beautiful naked blind assist at that point from Yanni Sadler. And speaking of Miss Sadler, she was going to do some great work here as well. Story of this game, though, Mia Lambert's come to life in the second half. She scored all 16 of her points then. Macomb does the deed and hands Unity its first loss of the season at the exact wrong time, as Macomb is headed off into the championship semifinals by the final count of 58-50. Up next for them, a showdown with Jerry Wilson's Havana Lady Ducks, who took apart Illini West in the second half tonight. 57-42 was your final in that ball game. On the other side of the bracket, unfortunately for West Central, they're done. They gave South Fulton, the #1 seed, all they could handle, but lose 48-43. It will be the Lady Rebels taking on Canton in the semifinals as well. Macomb, the only local team in the Final Four there. Elsewhere today, Brown County and Waverly going at it. David Phelps' team really hadn't played very well up until today in this tournament, which was sort of a disappointment for them. But Vanessa Markert and company got it going today. Miss Markert with 24 points, including the beautiful spinorama here, as Brown County gets them the win in this one. 64-52 was your final. Up next for Brown County, a showdown with Pleasant Plains in the consolation bracket coming up at 3 o'clock on Monday. Other scores to pass along to you today from the consolation side of things. I'm going to read them to you because we're having some computer problems, so come on back to me on camera. Thank you, sir. Let's talk about West Hancock beating Triopia 67-20 today. Alexis Dooley had 18 points in that ball game. Up next for West Hancock, a showdown with Beardstown, who beat Pittsfield Pleasant Hill 33-30 was your final in that one. Also, we have A-Town beating Griggsville Perry. Final count in that one was 56-43. Devin Battlefield with 21 points in the loss for the Lady Tornadoes. Plains today a winner over Rushville Industry. 58-13 was your final there. And at the MRMC shootout in Missouri, South Shelby with a wonderful win today in overtime over Sturgeon. That final was 53-49. Let's do some wrestling now. We've got the VW Super Duels today in Camp Point Central. As we go to the highlights in this one, we'll start you off at 160 pounds.
Seeds of Greatness brought to you by Burris Hybrids.
All right, we'll start off with the Burris Hybrids with the Seeds of Greatness. You're looking at Zachary Haley. Last year, he became the first wrestler in the history of the Quincy Wrestling Club to go to the IKFW Wrestling Finals and medal there, finished 7th place. Today, he was wrestling up at 126 and really doing well for the Raiders in this one. He ended up really with a nice effort today, as you see him here with a pinfall victory, one of 2 Raiders to win all 4 of their matches today. The Raiders as a team struggled going 1-3, but Zachary Haley, a freshman, a reason to look forward to things for the Raiders going forward. Let's take a look at the rest of those wrestling highlights if we have them. Apparently we do not. We'll try to cue those back up for you and bring those to you coming up after the break. To start you off right here with the great Mr. Gabe McKenzie from Canton, throwing down hard and throwing down against South Fulton, your third nominee of the month. That tomahawk dunk in this one. Let's take a look at the other earlier nominees from this month. They have included a beautiful dunk from Malik Clay of Palmyra as well in the Monroe City tournament, and some great back and forth passing on the give and go from Kaylee Kuhn to Claire Raby from Mendon Unity. So 3 really good nominees. We'll have one more for you next week, and then we'll start voting. And remember, you can win a prize package from Con Communications simply by taking part in the vote. We'll have more overtime for you, hopefully those wrestling highlights, in just a few minutes. Lo and behold, it's a Festivus miracle. The wrestling highlights have returned. West Hancock will start you there as the Titans today would pull off the victory 39-30 over Rochester. It starts with Caleb Adams going out and pulling himself right back in to take control in this match. Adams again in a spot of bother and reversing his way to freedom. And eventually Mr. Caleb Adams at 160 pounds would end up pinning his opponent to start things off on a really good foot for the Titans. Things a little different for Josh Espinoza. The 170-pounder, look at this. He's underneath his opponent who gets a little high, and I guess his opponent won't be having any mayonnaise today. What a pinfall victory for Mr. Espinoza today, who won both of his first 2 matches by pin. Take you to Quincy Notre Dame. Ashton Myers wrestling here against Peoria Notre Dame, one of just 2 Raiders to win their matches today. Ashton Myers went 4-0 as well, just like Zachary Haley. As at 113 pounds here, he rolls up the easy pinfall victory. Back on the other mat, again, West Hancock taking on a pretty darn good Rochester squad, and this is Kendall Hall at 285 pounds. He started off in a bit of trouble in this one, and then Kendall Hall just powers his way to a reversal and ultimately a pinfall in this one as he gets the victory there by pinfall. Most exciting match of the day for West Hancock came at 120 pounds, where Devin Beeston and his opponent were locked up after 4 through 3 periods. We go to sudden death overtime, first point score. Both opponents look like they might have control at some point, but eventually Devin Beeston comes up with the takedown here. here, the 2 points and the win for him. So nicely done, Mr. Beaston, as he rolls his way out of trouble, and 2-0 victory today for Control and the victory. Camp Point Central, we'll get to them in a second. Let's talk one more from West Hancock. Let's talk about the big guy from West Hancock. That'd be Will Lucy. At 126 pounds, you don't usually call him the big guy, but there's no one more fierce at this point. In fact, I heard his opponent from Rochester walk off the mat and say he's just too good. No surprise to anybody who's watched Will Lucy wrestle. Here he is at 126 pounds, the quick takedown in traditional Will Lucy style, and eventually the pinfall victory for Mr. Lucy as well, as he gets the arm caught and throws his opponent down into some tilt position for some back points, and eventually the pinfall victory. Will Lucy doing Will Lucy type things, won very handily in this one, as you can see right there. And as I mentioned, West Hancock, I believe, finished the day going 3-1, so pretty powerful showing for the Titans on the day. Camp Point Central struggling in its match with Lanphier. Lanphier's really good, but Jeremy Bowen providing some points in this one, which was, I believe, ultimately a 43-15 loss. This is Jeremy Bowen posting a 9-7 decision at 145 pounds for his team as well. So those are your wrestling highlights. Just a quick update on the Q&D basketball team. Last check in this game with 3:25 to go. Q&D still trailing Rockridge Lutheran 60-51 was your final. Hey, thanks everybody for bearing with us tonight. A little computer trouble, but nothing we couldn't handle. Overtime is now over, so enjoy the wrestling, everybody.